How a rich family have a power to control whole world. Who is this richest family? Anyone know most of the people think it's Elon Musk or Dubai Prince who have billions of dollars. If we talk about the richest family in the world, first thing comes into mind, Arabic people who have biggest oil factory and have billions of dollars.
So let's look, Hannah, at the history of our family for a bit since those days in the ghetto. I mean, they spent, I think, the first part of the 19th century making lots of money. I think they spent a lot of the second half of the 19th century spending it. They built altogether 44 houses. They collected like mad. They bought lots of land. And then came the 20th century with 2 world wars, high taxation. And of those 44 houses, only one really remains with its collections intact, visited by 450,000 people a year. And around the actual manor house, there are 5,500 acres of land, which we look after. So there couldn't be a bigger difference between how things were in the ghetto and how things were by the end of the 19th century and how you can start seeing the problems of the 20th century. Now today, we're blessed. We have this incredible property. We have a collection of 25,000 works of art. We have 400, as I was saying earlier, we have 450,000 visitors.
But the truth is the richest family in the world is Rothschild family, who have the power to control whole Europe, whose net worth is $2.5 trillion. Rothschild family, the most famous of all European banking dynasties, which for some 200 years exerted great influence on the economic and, indirectly, the political history of Europe. Starting era. The first member of the family, who was known to use the name Rothschild, was Isaac Elkanan Rothschild, born in 1577. The family's ascent to international prominence began in 1744, with the birth of Meyer Amschel Rothschild in Frankfurt. Amschel built his empire with his 5 sons, Nathan, James, Amschel, Karzel, and Salomon. November 15, 1868, Paris. Starting out in a Frankfurt banking house, Meyer and his sons became international bankers, establishing branches in London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples by the 1820s. In addition to banking and finance, the Rothschild businesses have encompassed mining, energy, real estate, and winemaking. From the early 19th century, the family has been known for its considerable charitable activities, particularly in the arts and education. During the 19th century, the Rothschild family possessed the largest private fortune in the world, as well as in modern world history. The family's wealth declined over the 20th century and was divided among many descendants. Today, their interests cover a diverse range of fields, including financial services, real estate, mining, energy, agriculture, winemaking, and nonprofits. Many examples of the family's rural architecture exists across northwestern Europe. Anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about the Rothschild family. The Rothschild family is arguably the most famous European banking dynasty in modern history. In the late 18th century, Meyer Amschel Rothschild, the family patriarch, founded his first banking house in the German town of Frankfurt. His sons expanded the bank into a multinational enterprise, and, with their newfound wealth, the Rothschilds were able to influence their local economies. One Rothschild loan paid off French war indemnities in the 1870s, while another allowed the British government to become the powerful Suez Canal Company's primary shareholder. However, the Rothschild family's rapid accumulation of wealth and power was met with one odious reaction: rampant anti-Semitism. As a Jewish family, the Rothschilds have been targeted by conspiracy theorists as a prime example of Jews allegedly using their money to control global financial institutions. These claims have been roundly condemned and proven false. The total companies owned by Rothschild family. In present time is 22, Especially they own some big companies like Apple, Air Products and Chemicals, Q, Duke Energy Corp, XXL Energy Inc., Électricité de France. In starting journey, they start only one banking company. But today, Rothschild's family generation control whole world companies, and Rothschild family net worth estimate $2.5 trillion. That's how this family control whole world business. Mayer's 5 sons. Starting as dealers in luxury items and traders in coins and commercial papers, Mayer and his sons eventually became bankers to whom the French Revolutionary and Napoleonic Wars of 1792 to 1815 came as a piece of great good fortune. Mayer and his eldest son, Amschel, supervised the growing business from Frankfurt, while Nathan established a branch in London in 1804. Jacob settled in Paris in 1811, and Salomon and Karl opened offices in Vienna and Naples, respectively, in the 1820s. The wars, for the Rothschilds, meant loans to warring princes, smuggling as well as legal trading in key products such as wheat, cotton, colonial produce, and arms, and the transfer of international payments between the British Isles and the continent that Napoleon vainly attempted to close to British trade. Peace transformed the growing Rothschild business. The banking group continued its international business dealings, but became more and more an agent in government securities, Prussian or English, French or Neapolitan, in insurance company stocks, and in shares of industrial companies. Thus, the family successfully adapted to the Industrial Revolution and participated in economic growth throughout Europe with their railway, coal, ironworking, and metallurgical investments. The banking group continued to expand after the 1850s and, in particular, achieved an important position in the world trade of oil and non-ferrous metals. But its previous oligopolistic position was seriously threatened by new joint stock banks and commercial or deposit banks both in England and in France, as well as in the German states. Yet, the 2 guidelines laid down by Mayer Amschel for the Rothschild business operations, which indeed became a family tradition, to conduct all transactions jointly and never to aim for excessive profits, help to compensate to a notable extent for the inevitable risks inherent in handing down a business to future generations, not all of whose members are qualified to run it. Amschel, Nathan, Jacob, Salomon, and Karl, the founders of the Rothschild Consortium, were themselves unequally endowed. Nathan and Jacob stood out among their brothers by the force of their personalities, particularly Nathan, who was hard, deliberately boorish, and sarcastic. Jacob, who was his brother's equal in all these things, possessed an alleviating air of some refinement as a result of living in the more polished atmosphere of Paris.
So it's possibly the most famous letter in modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words: Dear Lord Rothschild. Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
It's an interesting question because he was really interested in ornithology, although he became interested in Zionism. I think the reason was this, that it was primarily a movement from Eastern Europe, but they didn't clarify who was in charge of that movement. And in addition, it was after all in Great Britain. So they felt that the Rothschild family should be the one to whom it was addressed. And Walter was Lord Rothschild, and he was a Zionist. And those really are the background reasons.
And here it is, the Balfour Declaration. What do you feel when you see it here?
I genuinely feel it's one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of the Jewish people. If you think it took 3,000 years.
The 5 founders in turn had unequal successors. For example, if Alphonse in Paris, 1827 to 1905, was a worthy successor to his father, Jacob, his own son, Edouard, 1868 to 1949, was not as strong a figure as his position required. But Edouard's son, Guy, 1909 to 2007, and his cousins, Alain 1910–82, and Elie 1917–2007 showed exceptional adaptability and ambition, thus confirming the constant element in the group's history for a century and a half. A remarkable capacity for seizing opportunities and for adapting in business as well as in politics. Successive generations of the Rothschild family have been similarly active in international finance and politics. If you find this video informative and interesting for you, please hit the bell icon and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.